See this little coracoid process? Look how adorable that is. Can't even stand it. Boy, this takes like a little surgeon's touch here. I think I have like something on my finger. Okay, like this now I have to bring this back. That is the little coracoid process. And why I didn't put any Vaseline on here at all, so it's not wanting to stick. But it will stick, and it's sticking now, and I'm making it stick. Make sure that you don't rest that scapula, because I'll get mad at you guys, because basically it's going to be baked incorrectly. We'll have to break it off. It can't be pushed up against that wire, because it'll look like it's all sunken in, and it just won't look right. It has to float away, and you can see that it's floating away. There's a lot of space underneath. It's not touching the ribs. It's not touching anything. It's basically just touching the head. That's it. That's the scapula. Nice, eh? Okay, so now the right one is easy because it's got a lot of clay on it. I'm even going to put more on here. It has to match the look of that one. Does that remind you of the patella? The patella on the left side floats away. On the right side, you needed to put a little spacer to make up for the gap. So this is a little bit more meat underneath here, a little bit more this, so that when you make the other scapula, okay, I'm going to do this quickly because it doesn't need to be any, you already saw how I did that one. So you do the same thing, but with this. Okay, so you take clay, you just kind of get the shape of South America in there, you get the acromion process kind of like liberated, like this. You do that little twisty thing, like this, so it's turning that way. And then you end up with like a little tiny, fabulous scapula. The acromion process goes forward, and because on this side there's so much clay, there it is, just like that. You like that? So just like that, and it's going to match up with the clavicle and create the shoulder girdle. Pretty neat, huh? We'll just wait until like Austin does this. It's going to look beautiful. Okay? So watch this. Same thing with Miss Corey. There's some of you that are just going to kick ass with this. That's also a little pressure I'm putting on you guys. Okay, because I'm going to remember I said that. But I have no doubts that the ones that are bringing in these beautiful crochets every week, I'll just keep doing that. Like that. Don't let me down once I said that. There it is. So those are the scapulae. So the scapulae are done. I'll leave that on there for you, Rick, and you just take off whatever you need to. The only thing I need to take is my little clavicle, because that's like a family heirloom. Great-great-grandpappy Bustos brought that over on the boat. I need to get that back. Okay, it's family heirloom. Don't want to lose that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the hands. Ready for this, Jem? Somebody sighed really loudly. Does that mean you don't want me to do this? The radius and the ulna, I'm not going to do because you guys can do that. It's just copying the bones. Okay, you know, you'll do this on here, correct? If he wants, because this is Rick's, push that, pinch that, and zap it so it doesn't move. Like, make sure that you know what the pose is going to be. Okay, he doesn't want it like this. He'll do something like that, let's say. Got it? That's a good pose. Anything like that. Okay, and then but he's going to glue it. And then that way he could actually work on it. Put the Vaseline on there, etc., etc. What I want to show you are the hands. Because the radius and the ulna, I think, are pretty straightforward. They're just bones. You copy the bones. They have to look the way I just showed you right there. Remember, the radius and ulna on the right hand are combined, but notice that my hand is turning, and you can see that the bones are turning also, even though they're two. They're two that became one. Do you see that? You guys remember that, because I showed you that many times. Same thing here. This is going to be a radius and ulna. They're combined, but whatever the hand is doing, then that's what those bones are doing. Okay, so it's the same thing you did down here. The only difference is down here they're pretty straightforward. Here they can turn, and everybody here is going to do something a little different. So now this is the neatest thing about doing the hand, the skeletal hand. It's so easy. Remember how you might have thought that the skeletal foot was going to be really hard until I showed you how to do it, and it's like, oh, that's not that hard. It's the same thing with this. Basically, you just need patience because it does take a little bit of time to do one bone at a time. Okay, the carpal bones are basically the wrist bones. That's where the glue is. What you do is you basically smear some clay on there. I mean, you basically try to make that as small as possible because there's 8 little bones there. There's no way you could do a little tic-tac-toe on there and nobody will know because it's so little. See what I'm doing? And even when you paint it, it would disappear, even if you left it. But basically, that's your carpal bones. Then, from any of the stuff that I gave you, look at this. These are the hands you're copying. Do you see that? Okay, so you have the left hand, you have the right hand. The right hand is real. The left hand is front and back, anterior and posterior. And you're going to basically do a hand that will fit on there. You can see that they're separate bones. The carpal bones are where the glue is. Okay, so that's already done. I mean, to the best of your ability, you do what you can with that glue being in the way. You've already done the radius and ulna, or you could do the hand, then the radius and ulna. But you guys know that you have to do the radius and ulna, because I'm not going to do it. Okay, so the fingers you do one at a time. So if I'm doing the thumb, I'm looking at the bone. The first metacarpal is this, and you can see that. That bone is that one right there. And that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so the hand right now is like this, so I'm doing this hand because that hand is supinated like that. It's facing you guys. So it's like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these little sausagey dog biscuit bones. I mean, look at this. It's just a little hot dog wiener. Look how cute that is. You got that, and it looks like it's the right size, and you thread it through. This is where you guys will have an easier time because you're younger. But that's it. If I could do it, you guys could do it. There, that's the one bone. That's the first metacarpal.
Are we supposed to cut the wires before we start?
No, you can't. No, you have to make the hand, then cut the wires. Otherwise, you might cut it too short. And you don't want to have to start measuring. It's boring. Make the hand. If it looks good, then you cut. So I'm doing it exactly the way you guys are going to be doing. But some of you might have to cut it because they're so long. Like this one looks like spaghetti, the one at the end. So yeah, cut it, but not too short. And you have this to go by. You can even eyeball. Just go what you know is longer than you need. You got that? Because that was a good question. I just want to make sure nobody makes that mistake. Cut it as if you were cutting nails later. See, so I'm doing this one at a time. And before you know it, you end up with a really good hand. That neat? And you can, because it's wire, you can bend the fingers any way you want. Sometimes you can even bend the fingers kind of the way you want them beforehand. I don't know what Rick wants, but it doesn't matter because he can bend these. He can do whatever he wants with these. Like this. So you can see that all of a sudden, you have a pretty good hand, like that. A pretty good thumb. And you just do that. Just be patient. Just keep it. It's the same way that you did the ribs. You just be patient. You already did the hard part. You just lay the ribs on top of the wire. In this case, you just thread each bone. And until you're done, all of a sudden you have a really nice hand. And even afterwards, what I do is I take an X-Acto knife, put it underneath the joint, and I can bend fingers if I wanted to change the pose. Just take your X-Acto knife and just kind of put it underneath wherever you want to bend, and just bend it. It's like a doll, so make sure that you do something clever with the hands if you want. That's it. That's it for that. Now, the right hand, though, is trickier because it has to look like a real hand. Sometimes people do hands that look like a baseball mitt, so be careful with that. Make sure it's a nice, delicate hand. You can paint the fingers, do the fingernails separately, as per usual. That's another reason I just thought of why I like painting these before I bake them, is because I paint the fingertips, then I put the nails on, then I bake the whole thing. Okay, but watch what I do, because I do pretty good hands. You can see that hand is really nice. There's a lot of really good, helpful hands that I could tell you right now. Did you notice I put the hyoid bone in there? It's like a little, what did I say, candy cane coming from the neck. Put it at the level that you would think, that you visualize the chin would be. Because since you don't have a head like I do, visualize, if it's close, it's going to be fine. But do you see, like that's about where the chin would be? Like at least a level, the height of it. And that's what I have here. You can see the chin, the very bottom part of the chin, if you go back, and it's just that little bone, okay, like that. You have to like either take pictures or take good notes. Yes?
If you were planning on tilting like the skull like facing down, would you put it a little bit lower? Or?
No, I would still leave it, and you know, that's a good question because some of you may have a turn, and then it turns a little bit. But you know what, even after you bake it, you could still push it a little bit. You could bend it up, bend it down, like that, okay? So that's a good question, and I don't think it's going to matter.